But you were 5,020 years old when you wrote it.
Oh, no.
And you're about 5,000 something, a little more.
I don't want to scare the men around. They're going to do me terribly.
But the point is that would you have written them differently today?
Well, I don't think so. Because that's the adventure I wanted to experience on the planet. And I'm very glad I was experiencing every moment of it so intensely that I could actually describe it and put it on paper for others to experience it too.
Yeah, but as a writer or as a poet, one matures. So the books which are coming out, are they any different? Are you evolving or are you stagnating? Or are you going to change your way of thinking, the way you write, the topics, everything?
No, nothing is changing. I think I'm evolving and beautifully. I have to thank the Almighty for that. I have been through a lot of pain, a lot of joy, but I think we have to pay a price for everything, even for growth. And it's only when we reach that level of growth that we start enjoying it and accepting it. But while we are going through that period of, we are going through it, and we are going through a period, like a patch of serious pain. I mean, we keep wondering why me? Why is God doing this to me? What did I do to deserve this? But you know, once you come out of it, you realize the kind of strength you have developed is just so amazing. It's worth all the pain you went through. And then the joy you experience because of that feeling is so intense that you completely, it's blissful.
Okay, human love and divine love. So you're talking about human love in your poems as well.
Yeah.
Is divine love present in human love? Is human love divine love? Is there a difference?
Well, I wouldn't say that there's a difference. It's just that human love is an extension or an expression of divine love.
Okay.
I mean, that's how I look at it.
You need to elaborate. I mean, human love, as in love between, let's say, a mother and a son. Let's say the love between a man and his wife, a father and a daughter. Is there divine love in all these kinds of love?
Yes, because what is divinity? Divinity is basically a nature of consciousness. Divinity is a higher form of energy, and we are all a part of the same energy. So it's just an expression of our own selves, actually. So I believe that the divine is an expression of our own selves. I think Shiv Singh here will also agree with me on that. He doesn't believe in God.
We'll ask him about that a little later.
But coming back to his house is Shiv Dwara. Okay.
But coming back to loving God, I mean, many of us believe in God. We try to love God. Isn't it easier to love a human being than to love God?
Yes, it's easier in the sense that, you know, we live in the see and touch world, and we like to live in a concept of reality. So we find it much easier to sort of love a person we can see. And it's very hard to love an abstraction. But then if we learn to understand that what we are seeing is a reflection of that abstraction, or is actually a form of that abstraction, then we kind of come to terms with the fact that that's divine love and that's human love too.
Some of us love God a lot when we're in trouble. Some of us, of course, others, I mean, when the times are good, of course, you don't think of God much. But human beings, I mean, if you're in love at, let's say, a young age, you're in college or you're growing up, you're just, your first love, your first crush, you're besotted, you're obsessed, right? You're thinking about that person all the time. You're doing something, you're waking up, you're sleeping, you're eating, you're bathing, whatever. You're thinking about that loved one. Can anyone love God like that? To be absolutely madly in love with God to that extent?
Absolutely. You know, the only thing is how I look at it. I mean, I've been madly in love in my time. I mean, I mean, not time. I think
most of us would have been. Most of the people in this room would have been at some time or the other.
Whether they accept it.
I would like to say something. Yes. You see, we talk in terms of loving God, but I am of the opinion that I don't know. It's something very abstract, and we don't love God. I always say that we should love God more, but we don't love God. You see, we might be loving some aspect of what we think is God, but most human beings, I disagree with you, don't love God. They talk in terms of loving God, but they don't love God. Whereas we should love God. You see, it's very easy to say, I love God.
You're afraid of
How do you love God?
By loving oneself. I
By
feel
loving human beings, by loving the life
Yes.
that He is given,
Yes.
by making the most of it.
that's true.
That is loving God, but loving God as an
As an
abstract.
abstract.
I
There is
always
God
tell
in every
people,
one of us.
we say we love God, but we don't love God. If we were to love God enough, then there wouldn't be all this pain. And
Yes,
exactly.
there wouldn't be these Maoist activities and things
I
of
feel
that
if you
kind.
don't see God
If
in
we don't love God.
if you can't see God in each one of us, then you really haven't had
Yes,
any
yeah.
experience to do with God.
Yes, yes.
No, in my view, and this is what everyone says, the great books. So God is not defined. You can't see Him, you can't feel Him, so you can't love Him. If a human being can love God perfectly, then he's not going to be here. So he's God himself. So he's already reincarnated, or he's got self-realization or whatever. But the point here is that we are talking about loving God through human beings.
Yeah.
When you're thinking about God in these poems, there is a human being or a set of human beings, or God is a human being in those poems. Is that true?
Yes, there is, actually. We basically, I think most of these poems, when you read them, will be actually only projecting love between a man and a woman. You have to just read between the lines, or let's say try to understand that it is love which is beyond that concept of between a man and a woman. So it basically goes to signify that love is love. It doesn't really matter whether it's for a man or a woman or it's for God. It's just love.
So what are the personal experiences that led you to write this book?
Now it's getting interesting.
The plot thickens. Well, some of the poems, yes, are like there is one which is called Hurting, which is when I thought I had really been hurt in my love story, whichever one it was, I don't remember. I don't need to say.
Is each poem for one love, or?
No. I wish it had been so colorful.
There are about 100 in this, I think.
No,
They are in blank pages also.
okay, you want to fill in?
There's one page.
No, it's, I think each one of them is at a different stage of whatever emotional feeling I was going through at that particular time. But most of these poems have been written, I told you, between my my late teens and my early 20s. So I cannot even go back that much in time to remember what it was. It is me. It is me resonating to the concept of love and to emotions and feelings. But it is not me that I can relate to at this level of emotional awareness.
You know, sometimes poems, they reflect very personal thoughts. Sometimes you're loath to put them in print. You know. Sometimes you might write them and hide them somewhere.
Yes,
You don't bring them out in print.
That is
So out of these
correct.
100,
Yeah.
there may be another 500 which you wrote which are not here.
Yes, of course, more than 1,000. And actually, these 100 would have never seen the light of the day if it were not for Neeru. You know, she came in one day.
She's the censor who kind of sifted through
Yes,
this far.
absolutely. She says, Renee, this is like, you put this treasure, all your jewelry away in the locker, and it's going to lie there forever. What's the use? Just bring it out. So I had these great apprehensions. I said, oh my God, I don't want people to see me going through whatever I was going through at 20. And although I would keep saying, I'm this very rebellious person, I don't care what people think about me, and I'm so bindas. But then that's what made me realize that I was really worried about what people thought about me. I was so worried that they'd be judging me and thinking, oh my God, so that's Rennie. We didn't know that was her. So, but then finally I said, what the heck? And now I really don't care. I think I'm a beautiful human being and I'm very proud of the way I am. So it's fine. And it's thanks to Neeru, you shall all know what I'm all about.
Maybe she's helped you improve your image.
Well.